Persona is a series with lots of entries in its franchise. Counting spin-off materials, mangas, novels, anime, and connected games, over 80 plus entries exist. And with that many entries going on for a little over 30 years, there's a lot of spots in the lore that either break the canon or just isn't known by most people in the fanbase. So, today I'm here to explain obscure bits of lore for you. If you like it, be sure to subscribe and leave a suggestion about other bits of lore that I can explain in part 3. Anyways, strap in and enjoy.
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
I am Philemon, a dweller between consciousness and unconsciousness.
Now, let's take a look into your future, shall we?
In Persona 2, there was a new person in the Velvet Room aside from the classic attendants Belladonna and Nameless. And no, he wasn't the traditional attendant, he was a random-ass middle-aged painter who just stumbled into the Velvet Room and paints. Of course, I'm talking about Demon Painter, who's not actually a demon at all. And what's bizarre is that we just don't know where he is after Persona 2, he's not mentioned at all. And it's not like Belladonna and Nameless where like you can hear them in the background. You needed to actually physically interact with him to convert tarot cards. So my best guess is that he either died or got fed up with the environment there and just left. I don't know, it's just kind of weird how they just let a random guy walk into the Velvet Room, like didn't even give him like a persona or anything. They just like let him stay there. After Makoto's death at the end of Persona 3, Aigis fell into a massive slump, and to cope with the loss of Makoto, she pushed all of her feelings connected to humanity away. Aigis wished herself to be a machine once more. She wanted to feel nothing. As a manifestation of her wishes, Metis was made not only into a mirror of Aigis in design, but to be the pure embodiment of humanity. That's why she's so kind and caring to Aigis. She's all of Aigis' learned lessons, giving life and showing a human kind of love that she doesn't want to feel anymore. In short, Metis is the opposite of a typical shadow. She's a cast-off good trait instead of a cast-off bad trait, which means there can be good shadows. Also, if you think shadows can't have personas, just look at Teddy and yeah. In the Trinity Souls timeline of Persona, it's stated that users lose personas as they get older. But is this the case for the main time? No. Because of Persona 3 directly, we see characters have their personas for around 7 years, like Akihiko, Mitsuru, Shinjiro for around 5 years. So that shows that people can keep their personas for around most of a decade. But there's also things like Arena and Arena Ultimax that show the P3 cast use their personas for even longer, which just shows you never really lose a persona inside of the main timeline, so this is very much just exclusive to Trinity Souls. Hell, we even see older Persona users use their personas, and they only get stronger as they get older, like the Phantom Thieves. Cease themselves. But still, nonetheless, this is a very interesting tidbit about the Trinity Souls universe, which is, I say, the second most known about universe since there's a lot of continuities. In the Persona 4 game, when we reach the Heaven Dungeon, Nanako doesn't have a shadow. However, when we delve into the other continuities, like the Persona 4 manga, she does. And much like Metis, Shadow Nanako isn't an evil shadow. Instead, she's a manifestation of Nanako's grief. And Nanako, being the kind soul she is, immediately tries to cheer up the shadow. And honestly, it's a great character moment, and it shows off her character perfectly. At the end of Vanilla Persona 5 and towards the end of Royal, we roam the Qliphoth world right before our boss fight with Yaldabaoth. It's the result of Shibuya mixing with the depths of Mementos, basically creating the deepest, darkest crevice of Mementos where humanity's most disgusting desires reside. But as it turns out, that's not the first appearance of Qliphoth. No, in the obscure 2008 Persona mobile game Persona Aidsoft, or commonly abbreviated to fucking Poo, yes, I'm serious, our mysterious protagonist is warned of Qliphoth by Igor. It's described as a nightmare world, and unfortunately, that's all we know because the original Qliphoth is lost media, because Persona Aidsoft itself is lost media. Which is really disappointing because I've been really obsessed with trying to find out what it is for like the past week. And if you're interested about this, I don't know, drop a theory on what you think it can be, since Persona 3 at the time was still running off of the Greek mythology, so I don't know. Building off of what I covered earlier with the Persona users losing their personas after adulthood, let's talk about Akihiko in the Trinity Souls timeline. A little bit after the answer, Akihiko's power started to fade, and so he had to take a different approach to stopping apathy syndrome's spread and the new cases of people stealing personas. So he works with police officers and the Timu investigation team to stop Timu Strega. No, I'm not joking, I'm completely serious. Our main group is called the Ayanagi Investigation Squad, and they have to defeat a group of Persona users that use Persona suppressants so that their man-made Personas don't freak out, and they also want to end the world. Now, the reason why this entry was a double feature and covering basically two facts at once was because I just kinda don't want to talk about Trinity Souls again. I don't like it, and I hate delving into the lore. But unfortunately, if there is something else for Trinity Souls, I will delve back into it. At the very end of Persona 3, you need to fight the giant death god, Nyx. And the weird thing about this is that everyone calls this thing the Nyx Avatar, despite this technically being actually Nyx. Let me explain. In Persona 1 and Soul Hackers, which both belong to the same timeline, we can encounter Nyx, or what a lot of people believe is the actual Nyx, but that's not how the demon system works in this universe. Demons are the collective unconsciousness of every being, so the legend of Nyx was able to exist there. And what we encounter in Persona 1 and Soul Hackers is that collective unconsciousness being manifested. Now that that's out of the way, what do I mean by the Nyx Avatar being the real Nyx? Well, according to the Persona 3 club book, we find out that the Kirijo group found out that Nyx was a celestial being that was drifting into space and crashed into the world while it was still prehistoric. But instead of her power destroying the Earth, they separated into two. Her body being the moon, and her psyche staying on Earth and being described as waves of death, until evolving into what are now shadows. And Cease, by drawing out more shadows by exploring Tartarus, awakens the Fall, which is the process in which Nyx's body begins combining with her psyche and forming what's the real Nyx. Actually, cool fact about this, Nyx is the first final boss in the series to not be a manifestation of the collective unconsciousness. Which means in the rest of the Persona games, we're fighting fake gods, which means Makoto killed a real god compared to every other protagonist, which killed a fake god. Pretty insane! In SMT Imagine, the protagonist can wear multiple outfits, the most important of these being the Persona 2 outfits. Through fortune cards, you can unlock a replica of the Seven Sisters High School uniform, and the description reads that it was a replica worn by the students of Seven Sisters High School in Tokyo before the Great Cataclysm, which is just when God decided to restart humanity from ground zero. This means that in the SMT Imagine universe, the events of Persona 2 happens alongside other SMT games, and Durara. The SMT Imagine universe was completely stacked, which makes it a lot more interesting than a lot of the other alternate Persona timelines. But if you want me to make a video about covering the different alternate Persona timelines, please comment. If I get enough, it'll be one of my next videos. Almost every Persona protagonist has parents, but we only ever see 3 of the protagonist's parents, and those protagonists are Tatsuya, Wonders, and oh, wow, yeah, yeah, this does count.
Can't get my mind out of those memories.
Did you know that you exist in Persona? Well, that's actually only if you played Persona 4 Dancing, which I assume most of you didn't. But I did, so I am canon to the series. Let me explain. In the story of Persona 4 Dancing, the player is being directly exposited to. You're listening to the story being narrated in canon, technically making you the protagonist of the story. Pretty neat, right? Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please comment if you need further elaboration on some of the subjects, or if you'd like to recommend any other entries for the next video in my series. Look, I just want to say before I go, I'm sorry if this video is pretty chopped weirdly, or if the audio's weird. I've been really sick with... Holy shit. Oh my god, that wasn't even like a joke. I've been really sick with the flu recently, so a lot of my takes have been interrupted by me coughing or, you know, me having a headache. So if my explanations are off, I'm also really sorry for that. I'm not feeling the greatest, but I still had to make this video for you guys because you guys wanted it, so yeah. Anyways, it's been your Hispanic Pappy Meric, and signing off. Have a beautiful day, everyone.